Millionaire CEO was homeless at 17. Now he employs 50 people. What if the person you see on the street today becomes a millionaire tomorrow? It sounds like a movie plot, but for one man, it's his reality. He runs a multi-million-dollar company with a team of around 50 people who count on him every day. His company, StudioHawk, is Australia's largest dedicated SEO agency with offices in Australia, the UK, and the US. But just over a decade ago, his home was a park bench. He was 17, totally alone, and invisible to the world. This is the incredible story of how he went from the streets of Melbourne to the boardroom and the one skill he secretly mastered as a teenager that changed everything. Section 1. The Fall. Harry Sanders wasn't exactly born with a silver spoon. His parents divorced when he was young, and he went to live with his dad, but it was a rocky situation. Even as a young teen, Harry had a fire in him. At just 14, while most kids were glued to video games, Harry was diving into the internet. He started messing around with something called SEO, search engine optimization, mostly to help his dad's business get noticed online. He was hooked. He built a small travel website, pouring hours into figuring out the puzzle of how to make it rank higher on Google. Then, out of the blue, an agency called wanting to buy the site. Harry decided to test his luck and threw out a price he thought was ridiculous, $2,000. He even offered to come in and train their team. To his shock, they said yes. When he showed up at their corporate office in one of his dad's baggy suits, the staff couldn't believe they'd been negotiating with a kid. But they let him do the training, and his expertise was undeniable. That was the spark, the first time his digital skills turned into real-world cash. The agency was so impressed they offered him a part-time job. Harry, seizing the chance, lied and said his school had a work experience program on Wednesdays. His career had officially started before he was even old enough to drive, but just as his professional life was taking off, his personal life fell apart. At 17, after a fight with his father's partner who called him baggage, Harry was kicked out of his home. He had nowhere to go. In an instant, the ambitious teenager with a promising career became just another face on the streets of Melbourne. The first few weeks were a blur of survival. He tried to get help from the government but got tangled in bureaucracy. He slept under bridges, in homeless camps, and on friends' couches, always feeling like a burden. He talks about the crushing feeling of being invisible, of people looking away as they passed. The shame was constant. He'd just started his own business, StudioHawk, with his small savings, but that dream was now on the back burner. Survival was all that mattered. He's honest about this time, saying he wasn't motivated by some superhuman resilience. He was just trying to get by. For nearly a year, he was trapped, just another statistic among thousands of homeless youth. It felt like there was no way out. Section 2, the turning point and the grind. For 9 long months, Harry Sanders was in survival mode. The ambitious kid who negotiated business deals was now just trying to find a meal and a safe place to sleep. The fire he once had was barely an ember, but it wasn't out. The turning point wasn't some big dramatic moment. It was a series of small kindnesses from others and a huge shift in his own mindset. He was eventually accepted into a government housing program and connected with a social worker who saw his potential. Mentors pushed him to go to networking events, which he dreaded. At 18, feeling insecure and completely out of place, he started putting himself back out there, and this is where that one skill he'd mastered as a teenager became his lifeline, SEO. Even while homeless, he had an old laptop and a cheap phone. He'd find free Wi-Fi at shelters and get back to work. It wasn't glamorous. It was a grind. He took any small job he could, using the SEO knowledge he'd spent years building. He wasn't just building websites. He was offering a specific high-value skill, making businesses visible on the internet. Search engine optimization is the art of getting a website to the top of Google. For any business, that first page is everything. Harry understood this better than most. He knew how to find the right keywords, build links, and structure a site so Google would see it as a legitimate authority. He started landing his first real clients from those networking events. As he puts it, there's no fancy story here. He just busted his ass for them. He poured everything into getting incredible results, making sure his first clients were thrilled. He was running his company, StudioHawk, from shelters and public libraries, driven by a desperate need to build a life for himself. Slowly, his reputation grew. Happy clients started referring him to others. The trickle of work became a steady stream. Every dollar went toward survival and back into his dream. After a full year of homelessness, he finally saved enough to move into a shared rental house. He even remembers the date, September 12th. It was the first time in what felt like a lifetime that he had a real roof over his head. That first year back in business was tough. He barely made $30,000, but he was no longer invisible. He had found a way to turn his digital skill into a foundation for a new life. He wasn't just a homeless kid anymore. He was an entrepreneur with a skill that companies desperately needed. The grind was starting to pay off. Section 3, the rise and the legacy. Having a roof over his head was just the start. Harry didn't just want to survive. He wanted to build something that would last. He doubled down on what worked, delivering amazing SEO results without the usual agency nonsense. While other agencies tried to do everything, Harry focused StudioHawk on one thing only: dominating organic search. This focused approach was a game changer. He cut out the middlemen and got rid of long-term contracts, giving clients direct access to the SEO specialists working on their accounts. The model was built on transparency and results, and it worked. The business grew, and then it exploded. Today, StudioHawk is an international powerhouse with an estimated annual revenue of over $15 million. Recognized as Australia's largest dedicated SEO agency, StudioHawk has won global awards, including Best Large SEO Agency at the Global Search Awards. The company has expanded with offices in London and the US, employing a team of SEO specialists. The business that began on a cheap laptop in a shelter is now a multi-million-dollar enterprise, and Harry has earned recognition on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. But this story isn't just about the money. For Harry, the real win is creating a legacy. He is quick to point out he didn't escape homelessness by himself. He often says, like any self-made story, "I wasn't very self-made," giving credit to the social workers and mentors who helped him. Now he's determined to be that person for others. He's a passionate ambassador for the Lighthouse Foundation, a youth homelessness charity that supported him. He uses his platform to talk openly about his experience, working to break the stigma around being homeless. He highlights that the mental toll, the feeling of being worthless, the constant anxiety, is one of the biggest hurdles. His commitment is more than just talk. Harry donates his speaking fees to the Lighthouse Foundation to support their programs. He wants to do more than write a check. He wants to give people the same kind of shot that he got. His ultimate goal is to abolish, or at least minimize as much as I can, youth homelessness. From a park bench to the head of a global company, Harry Sanders' journey is an incredible testament to resilience. But it's also a story about mastering a skill and using that success to lift others up. He used his knowledge of the digital world to escape the harsh realities of the physical one, and now he's using his empire to make sure his legacy is one of purpose and hope. Harry's story shows that your circumstances don't define your future. What's one skill you're passionate about that you could start mastering today? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story inspiring, make sure to subscribe for more videos about incredible people who turned their lives around. Conclusion: the journey from a park bench to a boardroom seems impossible, but Harry Sanders is living proof that it can happen. His story isn't about luck. It's about finding a valuable skill, chasing it with everything you've got, and never forgetting where you came from. He mastered the digital world to build a new one for himself, and now he's building shelter and opportunity for countless others.